Welcome to Betting with Brooke and Benny here at FTN Bets. We are back after a 1 week hiatus. That was 100% my fault. So I apologize to Brooke and our lovely fans out there who tune in every week to watch the show. We have a very interesting show to talk about here today. We got 6 games that we're going to get into, although we have some breaking news. Should we start with the breaking news, Brooke? What do you think? Well, first off,
Let's
let me say
go.
hello to you. It's been a week. I haven't seen you in a while. How's everything going with you?
It's good. I missed talking to you last week. I just felt like a little piece of me was missing without picking all these games, but I think our fans will survive and we will survive. I'm just happy to be back again. So, welcome back.
You know what? I probably should take another week off because when I take a week off, the Jets wind up knocking off a top team. So I mean, maybe that's been the problem all season long is that when I don't do the show, the Jets actually win. When I do the show, they lose like they normally do. So
It
we'll see what
worked.
happens. Yeah, I
It
was
worked.
honestly I was at the game. It was awesome. I had my kid with me. We went to the game,
Oh,
so it was a good game for us to go to. Shout out to the good people at Aramark for letting me hang out in their suite on that day. That was a lot of fun too. So wanted to make sure I said thank you to them. But like I said, we got some breaking news, which doesn't normally happen doing this show on a Wednesday morning. Aaron Rodgers just came down as a positive test for COVID right now. We were going to talk about this game, and I thought it was interesting because the game actually opened with the Chiefs as a 2.5 point favorite, dropped all the way down to the Chiefs being like a 1 point favorite, and even to like a pick 'em, not a pick 'em on the spread, but like both teams being like minus 110 on the money line in some spots. And now we can't even bet on this game. They everywhere that I looked as soon as the news broke as we were getting ready for the show, all the books already kind of took this thing off the board. So I know you had a lot to say about this game with Aaron Rodgers in. What do you have to say about this game without him now?
I mean, this changes everything. They already last week they looked impressive without their star wide receivers. They were supposed to get them back this week. Now they are without their quarterback. I mean, this team is taking a beating. And if they can get through all of this, I mean, what was it last week or the week before when their defensive coordinator was out? And I mean, COVID is just killing this team. So
Mhm.
does this change everything for the Packers season? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I mean, past this game, I mean, just what a bummer. I just hope that they can get that under control. But the Chiefs have all sorts of problems on their defense, as we saw.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they could still have a chance. However, I feel like the Chiefs are just going to run away with it. I think that they finally get their little break that they've been needing because, gosh, they have not looked great either. I mean, last week,
Mhm.
when they were playing on Monday night, I was trying to figure out which team looked worse. I mean, the Giants in the last 2 minutes, that was terrible garbage, but the the Chiefs didn't look much better. And I
Right.
don't know if I have much trust in Mahomes anymore. So it's tough. I mean, the
Mhm.
Chiefs aren't looking good. The Green Bay Packers were looking good. Now they don't have their star quarterback who, I mean, if you listened to the news this morning, he sounded like the GM over there in his press conference. So is he running the team? And now without him running the team this week, what are they going to do? So I have Chiefs in this game, but I don't even know if I'm going to bet on this. Well, I mean, you can't bet on this game anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, not at the moment. Like they again, if you were lucky enough to get Chiefs at -1 before this news dropped, or if you had them at all, like you're probably going to be very happy when the line comes back.
yeah,
Again, quarterbacks, we talk all the time about quarterbacks being worth the most points to a spread. Aaron Rodgers being one of the best in the league is one of the few quarterbacks who's worth. I mean, probably I don't have my numbers. Like I said, I didn't even have time to run this. That's how recent this news is. But I would assume he's worth close to a touchdown to the difference between him and the backup. Like it's probably going to wind up being like Chiefs -6.5, -7 when it pops back on the board. And, I'm not going to play it at that number. If it pops back at like -4, then maybe I'll be a little bit interested in it there. But yeah, I mean, really, you got to think this is a major blow to them. And you mentioned the long term effects of this too, right? Like, not even just, the fact that they're passing COVID around the locker room right now. And, how is that going to affect who's available in like games to come in the next couple weeks? But, they lost the first game of the season to the Saints. They won 7 in a row. They've covered 7 in a row. They've looked great since that week 1 game. You drop a game here, you drop another game later on in the year, and the next thing you know, instead of getting a bye in the number 1 seed and the easy path to the, NFC Championship game, now you maybe you have to travel somewhere, maybe you have to take on you know, a Rams or a Cardinals in the second round where you could have had a little bit of a softer matchup. So, these games don't might not seem like they matter, but all of these games matter. The NFL season's not that long. So anyway, let's go on to a game that actually doesn't matter. The the New England Patriots and the Carolina Panthers are going up against each other here. This game opened with the Patriots as a 3-point favorite. Actually crept up a little bit. I think both DraftKings and BetMGM right now have it at 3.5. I think DraftKings even has it juiced up at like 3.5 minus 115, meaning that there's a chance this could even go higher to the -4 there. As a Jet fan, I tried to tell you guys Sam Darnold was not that good. Like, he really not that good. I don't even know if he's going to wind up starting this week. He probably will. How long will he finish the game? Like, what are you looking at here with this Patriots Panthers matchup?
I think either way, Panthers are kind of screwed with Sam Darnold or PJ Walker. PJ Walker would be a big downgrade. I mean,
Mhm.
Sam Darnold is already a downgrade just to have him on your team. But last season, Walker had a completion percentage of 57 with 5 interceptions and only 1 touchdown. So if he's starting, bet on the Patriots. If Sam Darnold's starting, I think I'm still betting on the Patriots to win this one. I could definitely see them covering that. The Patriots defense should have a field day. This team is on a roll. They are looking to make a playoff push. So I'm betting on the Patriots definitely to cover this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Patriots are the side too. Like, when you look at this game right here, that's really what it comes down to. Patriots offense is not all that impressive, but they try to limit the mistakes, right? Which is something that New England's always kind of done. And the defense is going to be good enough, especially against a turnover prone, Carolina team where, they're going to put their offense in some decent positions to pick up some points, even if it is just pounding the run on the ground in order to get there. I kind of like the Patriots side of this game as well. So let's talk about another interesting one here. We got the Atlanta Falcons taking on the New Orleans Saints this week. This game opened at 5. It actually moved up to -6. But the thing that I wanted to kind of mention here is that Jameis Winston looks like he's going to be out. As of now, it looks like Taysom Hill will be back and Taysom Hill will wind up being their quarterback, but we don't know that for sure yet either. So, what are you looking at for this game? And, do you think they're actually better off with Taysom Hill than Jameis Winston? Because apparently betters do, as the line kind of moved a little bit on some of this news.
I'm iffy about the whole Taysom Hill and Winston argument. I don't know. I feel like Winston is better at making those explosive plays, but Taysom Hill is better at just moving the ball down the field just
Mm.
consistently. So I don't know which one is better, honestly. It's kind of nice to have them both. I wish we did. Trevor Simeon, I mean, he did all right. So
Mhm.
I feel like they're not at a loss here, but I would expect Alvin Kamara to receive a very much bigger load this week. He's an all-purpose weapon for the Saints. He's going to give the Atlanta defense a lot of headaches, I believe. And then there's the Saints defense, who had 2 interceptions and 3 sacks over in the win over the reigning Super Bowl champions. That game was very impressive. That one was a fun one to watch. The Falcons will obviously take a major hit from Ridley's absence moving forward, and Atlanta's already been struggling offensively. So the Saints also have just the better defense of the two teams. I'm leaning towards the Saints. I think they cover with a touchdown.
Yeah, the one thing I'll throw out there for you guys, we have seen a Taysom Hill led Saints team before. So if you go back and you look at the stats, the one thing that we noticed the switch when it went from, Drew Brees to him when that happened back in the day, they played a lot lower scoring games. Both offensive, kind of being like a slower paced offense, keeping it on the ground a little more, doing some more read option stuff, things like that. They keep the clock moving. It was a lower scoring game there, and it also kept their defense on the sidelines. It kept them fresh. So the defense was even better when they came into the game and was able to do that. So again, I don't want to say too much here about what it is because it's always better, especially from a data standpoint, to actually have some sample size to go on. But we do have a little bit of a sample size here with Taysom Hill. And the last time we saw him, the Saints played under in most of those games. So I think if I'm looking at anything here, it's probably the under. And it is also one of the reasons why I think moving up to -6 on the Saints might not be something I want to chase because not that I don't think they're going to win. I just don't think they're going to play as high scoring games. So when you play a lower scoring game, each one of those points that the spread moves is even more important when it's a lower scoring game. Harder for you to cover the spread there. So I'm going to avoid betting on the spread side altogether, but I do think the under is a good bet here in this New Orleans game. So let's go talk about the next game here. The Cleveland Browns with a banged up Baker Mayfield and a one catch last week Odell Beckham taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost to my New York Jets. Oh my God. I don't even know how that happened last week. But you got to think the Bengals are going to bounce back here, right? Like the Bengals are heading into that game. They were a top 10 offense, a top 10 defense. One of the teams that people were expecting to get a bye, or if not a bye, like to have a home game in the first round of the playoffs here. And now people are just like, God, how bad are the Bengals? Like, this is still a very talented team, right? And I'm still expecting them to beat the Browns. Are you on board with that too?
Yeah, look, the Bengals, they found themselves upset of the week. Very sad for them. They gave up over 409 yards to Mike White. Like, who? Who? I don't know who he is.
Hey,
So,
somebody won $125,000 by having Mike White as the guy to throw for the most passing yards last week, which was
oh,
actually more money than Mike White made for playing in the game and throwing for 405 yards. So keep
that's
that in mind.
so sad. Poor Mike White. I think he'll survive. But the Browns looked awful last week as well, losing to the Steelers. Both
Mhm.
Cincinnati and Cleveland rank as two of the top defenses in the NFL, just from opponents' yards per play perspective. Both offenses were playing pretty good for a while there. I think the Cincinnati Bengals just kind of had an off game. I think that it was kind of a trap game there, when you are playing the Jets and you don't expect them to play well at all, and then they do, like you're kind of just stuck on your heels. So kind of a bummer for them. But look, the Browns have a lot more issues right now than the Bengals do, with OBJ's dad getting on Instagram and making all of these comments about OBJ needs the ball more, Baker's leaving him wide open. Then Baker's wife is over there posting, like liking comments, defending her husband. Like, can all of these families just back up, please? Let these guys play. I mean, it's so draining on them. I don't think that these families understand how much I mean, they deal with so much already on the field and in the locker
Mhm.
room and all of that. Then to have to go home and deal with your families and beg them to just not say anything when I know it's hard. I mean, I've been there. I'm a family of an NFL coach, and so it's hard to have to learn. Keep your mouth shut. It's better for everyone. I think I think with all of this going on, I think it's going to cause a lot of turmoil in that locker room. These guys are hotheads. They are not the type that are going to keep, narrow and straight. So
Mhm.
I'm leaning towards the Bengals to pull off this win. I think they cover whatever. The Browns are just looking awful to me. I think that they are completely imploding when they looked really good earlier this season. So, such a bummer for my Browns fans because I have a ton of them in my family. I'm sorry I'm saying this. Please don't hate me, but Bengals win this one.
Hey, listen, the way you got to look at this, right, is that we've already seen what happens when family members go on TikTok with Patrick Mahomes' brother, and you don't want to go down the same path that the Chiefs are going down right now. So stay off of
No,
TikTok, everybody out there. If you're a family member of a professional football player, like there are other ways for you to get your name out there. All right, so
right.
let's move on. Yeah, let's move on and talk about this next game here. Pretty interesting one. It's pretty interesting line movement in it as well, which is why I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers. So this game opened with Arizona as a 3-point favorite. If you look on DraftKings right now, you have, I think the Cardinals are favored on DraftKings, but the 49ers are favored on BetMGM. They're both favored by 1 point, and I think they're both favored by a juice down 1 point. So I think it's like -1, -105 for the Cardinals on DraftKings and -1, -105 for San Francisco on BetMGM. But if you look at the money line, both teams are being listed at -110 right now, which basically means the way the books are looking at this game is that this is an absolute coin flip at the moment here right now. So I don't know why people are just down on Arizona right now at the moment. I mean, it is a San Francisco home game, but I think a coin flip is the right place for this to be because I could see this game falling on either side. I need a little help here, Brooke. Which side should I be leaning in this game?
This one is kind of crazy. There's a lot of injuries on the Cardinals right now. Kyler Murray suffered a sprained ankle. Could sideline him for 1 to 3 weeks. His status is to be determined throughout this week, but we really haven't heard much from him. And then DeAndre Hopkins only played 15 snaps against the Packers. He dealt with a hamstring injury that could linger the rest of the season. Arizona's already without JJ Watt for the season. They could potentially be out their three best players playing against San Francisco. Luckily, the Cardinals played on Thursday last week. They have a few extra days to heal up. That should fit them. On the other side of the ball, George Kittle is supposed to practice today. So that's a very big positive for Jimmy Garoppolo and this 49ers offense to have an extra weapon out on the field. I still think the Cardinals can get it done with their momentum, but I think this is definitely a trap game in my eyes. I think that they should definitely stay on their toes for this game. I could see the 49ers putting up a big fight in this divisional matchup. They know they have to, basically. So I still think that the Cardinals win by a touchdown.
Yeah, and I mean, the other good thing for the Cardinals is they didn't get a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers last week, so they don't have to worry about anybody getting COVID from him. So they should be good on that. They should be good on that. Hopefully they can get a little more pressure on the 49ers this week. Otherwise, they're going to have a very similar result. And that brings us to the Sunday night football game. I'm really interested here to see what side of this game that Brooke is going to wind up on between the Tennessee Titans and the Los Angeles Rams here. The game opened at 6. It's up to 7.5 right now. We did have one big piece of news coming out of Tennessee this week. Derrick Henry is out. They're not saying for the season, but it's like 6 to 8 weeks. So even if he comes back, you're probably not looking at him till, week 16, 17, 18 of the season, because there is an extra week this year. And then maybe for the playoffs, if that at all. So that's obviously a huge blow to this offense. How much does it change? Well, it's not changing your mind. I know what side you're going to be on in this game anyway, but do you think that is a big deal that they're going to be without Derrick Henry, not only for this game, but for the rest of the season pretty much?
I think it is a huge game. And going back to what we were just talking about with quarterbacks being such a big deal and changing these lines and all of that, I see Derrick Henry as their quarterback. I think that he just
Mhm.
kind of runs that team. I mean, it is all centered around Derrick Henry. I put him in my lineup every single week. I have him in both fantasy lineups. That really hurt me. I'm very upset about this. But I
Mhm.
think that, on the Rams side, the defense is taking a nice sigh of relief with him out. And now with the addition of Von Miller, I mean, this this is looking beautiful for this Rams
Mhm.
defense. They are so happy in that locker room this week. They are partying. They finally can just they were nervous about this game leading it up to it until
Mhm.
all of this happened. And then we acquired Von Miller. Now they can finally just sit back and go to work and not have those nerves on their side as well. And then the Rams offense continues to show they are an offensive force this season. High point totals, ranking second in the NFL in yards per play. I mean, the Rams are looking solid. The Titans are dealing with a lot. So I have the Rams running away with this one pretty obviously. I have them winning by 10. I think that they just seal the deal with this game, especially with Derrick Henry out.
Yeah, you can still get them at -7.5 in a bunch of places. You're obviously on the other side of the 7 right now, which is never ideal when it opened at -6. But the news is going to make it go. And kind of to Brooks' point here as well, you know, Tennessee is one of those teams that their passing game works better when they have the run game going, because they're using a lot of that play action stuff. So when you start getting those safeties creeping down, you start getting more guys into the box. That's when they fake it to Henry and they kind of go long. We're gonna have to see what kind of running game they can have without Derrick Henry in there, because if they're not able to do the running game, then it is going to affect their passing game with it being so play action heavy. And if that's the case, then yeah, like you said, quarterbacks do affect it the most, but there are certain running backs, Christian McCaffrey being one, Derrick Henry being another one, that are going to affect it as well, because they're not only affecting the fact that you now have a subpar running back versus what they can produce when they're on the field, but the entire offense has to change when those kind of guys aren't in there. So it is going to be an adjustment. How much of an adjustment? Again, as a data guy, I can't really give you that until we get some data on them playing without Derrick Henry in the next couple of weeks. But I do think this makes this a much easier path for the Rams. So I agree with Brooke. I'm on the Rams this game. She's always on the Rams. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt, but I am joining her here. I do think that's the right side of this game here.
It's a
So there you
lot
go.
easier now. It's a lot easier to be on the Rams side every single game when they're playing this well. They have now completed their lineup with Von Miller. I think that was amazing pickup. Not only that he is an Aggie and I love him, but also because this is what that defense needed. I mean, when
Mhm.
we lost Michael Brockers last year and Morgan Fox and all these guys that really helped make Aaron Donald great because you had to double up on Aaron Donald and these two guys were free. This year I was kind of bumming that we didn't have them. I think a lot of guys filled in for those positions, but I think Von Miller is definitely going to complete it. So I love it. I'm all for the Rams.
Yeah, I sent Brooke a message when I saw the Von Miller trade, and it took her about 10 minutes to respond. She told me she was screaming for about 9 minutes straight, and then she dropped her phone.
Yeah.
She had to pick it up, and then she finally responded to it. But I knew she was going to be happy about that one, so that worked out well. And we'll get to see it on the field. We'll get to see how well it works out in the coming weeks. I figure they're probably going to put him in a little bit slowly to come along here. Try to get him in a couple packages here and there. Some places where he could rush the quarterback probably first, his first game, but by the end of the year, he's going to be a dominant force on that defense that already has a bunch of dominant forces. And that's really what you want, right? If you can't double one person, you're always going to have to leave somebody in, one on one. Do you want to leave one on one with Aaron Donald? Do you want to leave one on one on the outside with Von Miller? Offensive coordinator is going to have to make some decisions right now. And no matter which one they pick, it's not going to be a good decision. So that's the way they're going to have to do it. And it just makes the Rams that much tougher there. So that pretty much wraps it up for the games we want to talk about. Brooke, let everybody know where they can find you before we sign off here.
Go follow me, Twitter, Instagram at Brooke Cromer, and go give me some love. I'll comment back. It's fun. I like to talk football with everybody, not just Benny on here. So go reach me on Twitter.
Yes, and I am at Benny R11 on Twitter, so you can follow me over there. You can just follow at FTN Bets. You'll see all our stuff when it comes up. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you give us a like, give us a subscribe. Like Brooke said, drop some questions and stuff in the comment. Her and I both stop by and check out and interact with our fans. That's the fun part of this job for me. Is you tell us what you agree with that we said, tell us what you don't agree with, ask us questions that you want us to answer. Some of the games that we didn't get to on the show. We don't have an hour and a half time slot here, so we're only able to get into a couple of the games here. But we try to do our best to bring you guys that stuff every week. Remember, you can get over to FTN Bets. Use promo code Benny. You'll get a discount on FTN Bets, FTN Daily, FTN Fantasy, whatever your poison is. You can get over there and find the best information from some of the top experts in the industry. And I'm running out of breath right now with all these words. So for Brooke, this is Benny signing off for Betting with Brooke and Benny here on FTN Bets.